What's up, everyone? My name is Blue, and we are back today with some ProRevenge stories. Dishes best served cold by the best chefs in the business. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and with that, let's get into it. Revenge on the sales manager. For the children. When I was around 20, I worked at a large music store chain that you've probably heard of. I worked in the guitar sales department and honestly liked the job, despite their tepid flavor of the commission-based pay model. Only a few employees would ever really make enough commission to actually have those sales counted toward their pay. It was a threshold you had to meet, and it was set quite high. So for most of us, we were just making whatever the hourly rate was as a baseline. But this didn't really bother me by itself. I chose to work there. Like most businesses, the commission is directly related to the profit margin. We call this margin the JIP. Higher is better. Meet the sales manager. Perpetually angry, middle-aged, pubes for hair guy with a crappy attitude and a crappy car. He would encourage us to sell the gear with the highest JIP, as this directly translates into store profit. That makes sense, but it was often at the expense of the customer's actual needs, and our reviews were suffering. I was being asked to push a specific guitar manufacturer that starts with M because we get them for cheap, but sell them for almost as much as decent, solid top acoustic guitars. Plus, he was just a jerk to us most of the time. Price matching is a sore subject. Online stores were starting to mature into a real threat to brick-and-mortar businesses at the time. And the deals were out there, and we had a price matching policy. We have a weekly employee meeting, and the sales manager pointed out a popular price match that was going around. It was a really decent Yamaha acoustic that we carried, and it came with a buttload of accessories for less than our store's internal cost of just the guitar. He wanted us to essentially deny this price match by applying some excuse he thought of, which was supposed to disqualify its validity, but was mostly hot air. It was my last month there, and I knew I wasn't going to meet that commission threshold. A mother comes in with her middle school-aged son. He's been saving up his allowance and wants to buy a guitar. Per my training, we point him to the M brand guitars, which are the cheapest. But they're plywood pieces of junk, and I just couldn't sell him that rubbish. The kid saved up his money. Let's do this properly and give him a great experience. So I decided to tell the mother about that deal and our price matching policy, thanks to Pubes for Hair for pointing it out to me. I made sure I was the one at the register. This ended up with the son being ecstatic. He had a quality guitar and everything else he needed with a few dollars left over. The mother was eager to make this concession worth my risk and asked to speak to my manager to tell him how excellent her experience was with me. I was feeling pretty good about it. I felt like I did the right thing. Even if it was a loss, they will be here when he needs new strings or whatever else. You just built a relationship. I heard all about how excellent I was the next day from the sales manager. He decided to be a jerk about it and ream me for accepting that price match. We lost nearly $20, and it was the end of the world to him. It was like I ruined his entire week. Out of spite, I offered this same arrangement to 3 or 4 more people who came in the similar situations. The kid wants a first guitar, but the money isn't there for anything fancy. I knew I was quitting soon, and I wanted to put a good guitar in these kids' hands. So here's a price match. Enjoy an excellent guitar that will last you many years. And tell the manager F you on the way out. No regrets, and there was no drama when I quit. So this poster's revenge was basically just giving really good customer service. That's kind of weird, huh? She ruined my one chance to sleep in, so I taught her a hard lesson about shared walls. Some years ago, I had a very difficult, physically demanding job. I was also surrounded by noisy neighbors. I was constantly exhausted from overwork and being kept up late, and I couldn't afford to move or quit. I had Christmas Eve off. Nearly all of the noisy neighbors had gone out of town. I planned to sleep in on Christmas Eve. It was my only chance to do so that entire year. No joke. Instead, I was rudely awakened at 6 a.m. by a loud and violent wham coming from the wall behind my headboard. It was followed by an even louder barrage of banging, thudding, and stomping, all coming from the apartment next to mine, which shared walls with the bedroom and living room. After 15 minutes of that racket, I finally threw on my bathrobe and went next door. A new neighbor was moving in, which would have been fine, but quiet hours didn't end until 8. I'd only had 4 hours of sleep due to a different noisy neighbor, and the movers were making a completely unreasonable amount of noise. I have moved enough to know that noise is inevitable, but violently slamming furniture into walls, stampeding up and down the stairs, slamming doors, making the adjoining apartment shake, etc., is not normal. I've never had movers be anywhere near that noise level, and I own heavy antique furniture. I asked the new neighbor if she would please ask the movers to keep it down, or at least stop banging on my bedroom wall during quiet hours. She refused to even ask. The banging and shaking went on for 5 hours. I would have gone to the movies if I hadn't been too exhausted to drive safely. By the way, I have a sensory disorder. I've never been able to stand noise. Prolonged loud noise is the fastest way to drive me up the wall. After the movers from hell finally left, I heard her pounding a nail into a wall. Bam, 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 bam! 5 hard bangs from my side of the wall. Pounding stopped. She plugged something into a wall socket. Yes, I could hear it. The walls were paper thin. Bam, 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 bam! After several days of this, she seemed to finally understand the severity of the noise level with those thin walls. I never heard a peep out of that entitled a-hole again. Too long didn't read. Neighbor noisily moves in at 6 a.m. on Christmas Eve, robbing me of desperately needed sleep. I bang on the shared walls every time I hear a sound. She never bothers me again. I'll be honest, the part of this story that hits me the hardest is who moves on Christmas Eve? Like, I don't know, wait a little bit. My awesome neighbor. So this summer was out gardening. Was in regular shorts and shirt. My kids playing in the kid pool. When the dogs were going crazy at the gate. So I see a man and say hi. He stated he had just moved in and his kids could see my family's backyard. Asked if I could dress more modestly. I had to have had a what the F look. He said like, cover my arms and legs and not let the kids run in underwear. I said no thank you and to leave my property. My children had swimsuits on, they were not naked. I kept getting dirty looks from him on walks. He asked 2 more times. So this Christmas, we put up the biblical picture of Adam and Eve naked in the Garden of Eden. There is now a for sale sign up after only a year. We also added another dog and security cameras. Edit. Thank you for the awards. I didn't expect this to get big. So you just move in and the first thing you open up with is, hey, can you cover up? That's definitely weird. And that's all the time we have today for these revenge stories. If you liked any of the stories, make sure to click that like button and please subscribe so you don't miss out on any more stories. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you later.